Welcome back to Answers Only. I'm Fahad, and that's Amit. And today we got Jared Gerbino on the podcast. How you doing, Jared?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's good, man. I hope everything's going well for you in this time period. You know, it's kind of rough. I hope your family's well and everything.
Doing good. We're doing good. Just trying to stay busy.
That's good, man. That's good. I kind of wanted to wind back the clock to your RH days, if you don't mind. So, I know you were big on football since the start of high school. When did you get, like, starting with varsity, when did you get the position of starting quarterback?
So sophomore year was when I first started. I was on varsity freshman year. Me and Daquan Wilson,
Mhm.
we're both freshmen now up on varsity, and it was a kind of a cool experience. Just my brother was actually a senior when I was a freshman, so I got to see him a little bit more so than I would have if I didn't play. Just
Yeah.
kind of being at school after school ended and whatnot, I got to see him. So it was a cool experience. Sophomore year is when I actually started though. I played both ways actually. Played safety on defense and quarterback on offense. And then as the year went on, Coach Montesano kind of transitioned that and just had me play in just quarterback. I got injured, I think, sophomore year, like late in the season, and I think he didn't want to risk it. So I ended up just switching over to quarterback. And then senior year, I played quarterback, obviously. Didn't play defense at all. I always wanted to. I
Mhm.
thought it would have been good for me, but I understood why I wasn't. So overall, it was just a great experience. And yeah, so I was a 3-year starter basically, but a 4-year letter winner. So
That's good, man. That's good. So sophomore year, do you remember what your guys' record was the first year you started there?
yeah, we were 6-4. We went to the Section 5 championship actually,
Yeah.
which was very unheard of. They didn't think that we were going to be good at all. They thought after my freshman year when like Chauncey Bay, Christian Harris, all them left,
Yeah.
or Chancellor Harris, Chase Wegman, after they all left, they thought there was going to be like a big downfall, and we picked
Mhm.
it together. We picked it up. We had like a really good team actually. We had like a lot of sophomores playing. Myself, like JoJo, Gavin, a bunch of kids that were just
Yeah.
had a really Fardan, Keanu. So we had a bunch of kids come in, Austin Reeves, and we really did what we weren't supposed to do, I guess. And we ended up getting blown out in the Section 5 championship by Aquinas. They were really good that year. They had like
Yeah.
Luch Apollo, their running back was a beast. Obviously, Jake Zembek, Jameer, Ernest, and all
Mhm.
them. So it was a good experience. So I think it was good that we got our foot in the door a little bit and got to
Yeah.
play the Section championship and kind of just see the atmosphere change from like a normal game to a playoff game in Salem Stadium. So
Mhm.
yeah, sophomore year was definitely a really cool experience. I think a lot of us knew that we were good. I just didn't think that we knew that we had that in us. So it was definitely cool to get there. And obviously having some losses actually proved to be good for us. We got to see like how it was being that low, and then how good it was to get a W as well. So
That's great to hear, man. And kind of fast forwarding to junior year, and already I would say somewhat expectations on you after making it to the Section 5 championship. How did your team kind of handle that, and how did Coach Mont kind of handle that?
yeah, so I think at that point we all kind of knew that the next year was going to be like we needed to really step it up even more. So and that's the year we started off 8-0 actually. And we didn't lose a single game until sectional playoffs versus Pittsford.
Mhm.
Um, so we were top. I think we were top 10 in the state. We were ranked that year. I think we were like 8 or 9. So we had a really good team. Obviously, 8-0 is like a huge record.
Yeah.
We felt unstoppable. Like every team we played, we just felt like we were just handling teams. I think one of the most memorable games from that year was when we played Pittsford at St. John Fisher, and
Yeah.
it was back and forth the whole time, and we ended up pulling it off. I think JoJo, I think it was Fardan actually had like a pick six at the end of the game to kind of seal it, and that was just a cool atmosphere, like in front of a bunch of fans, and to stay undefeated. I think Pittsburgh was also undefeated at that point, so that was really cool. We had we didn't have that many seniors that I think no actually Fardan, Keanu, and then we're all seniors that year, so it was their last go around, so we wanted to really finish out better than we did, obviously. But I think if we would have won sectionals that year, I think
Mhm.
we would have probably ended up winning states. That
Oh,
was the year also that Aquinas wasn't in the playoffs. I don't know if you guys
yeah.
remember that. I think one of their players had an issue, and they ended up fining them for it, not letting them play in playoffs. So
Mhm.
that would have been a big year for us. Obviously, Victor ended up taking Section 5 title, but Pittsburgh had a good team. Coach Montesano always said this thing where you don't usually beat a team twice in a year. And we ended up beating Pittsburgh, and it held true because we played them again in Salem Stadium, went back and forth, and they ended up beating us in like the last 2 minutes. So it was one of the better seasons I've had. I felt really good that year, really strong, really healthy. So it was definitely also like a really fun year to be a part of. And I think we all had a pretty bitter taste in our mouth after that season, though. So my class tried to come back with a vengeance for our senior year. But
I was gonna ask, how was senior year like coming back? At this point, you're pretty much the face of RH football. You're the leaders. What's your mindset? Like, do you feel any pressure on your shoulders, knowing all the eyes are on you?
No, not at all. That's a good question, though. No, it was kind of the supporting cast is like, I don't even like to call them that because like everybody had their own special talent and like everyone contributed like a little here and there. So like I feel that's how our team was so good is we didn't have one player that was just like that did everything. Like if I was that player, we wouldn't be as good as we would have if Jay Sean or JoJo or like somebody that wasn't as good as they were, we wouldn't be as good as we were. So like it was all the little parts that came together that made us a really good team. That's why in our Section 5 game, in the championship game my senior year, we were missing Jay Sean, who very underrated. No one talks about how good Jay Sean was enough, and he was a huge part of our team. And he ended up getting suspended our senior year, and it really kind of fucked us. And it really wasn't his fault. I was there for the incident, but it's the way of the road. It happened, and we had to play without Jay Sean, and I think that kind of mentally screwed with some of us. I know it definitely hurt Jay, but overall, I think just our team was so good at just being a good team. Like we all were really close, and we all were like a tight knit group of guys. So I think that definitely helped us in the long run. Obviously, if we would have, I said this earlier, but if we would have beat Aquinas that game, well, we only lost by 3. If we would have beat Aquinas that game, I 100% know for a fact we would have won states because they ended up washing the rest of the teams that they played. Which kind of sucks for us because like you got to think like that would have changed a lot of guys' futures. Going from like a not even winning Section 5 to winning state championship. I think that kind of helped Jake and Ernest and all them. Obviously, they're all great players, but just like the exposure really helped them. I think that would have done numbers for guys in my team that really didn't get the opportunity to play at Division I or even play in college. So I think that definitely would have helped. But at the end of the day, we had a really good high school football team. I think we had 2 or 3 guys make the all-decade team from the team that I was on. Or not even, I think it was all decade team. Yep. In Section 5. So that's like 3 players from one team from 3 year span. Like that's really good. So yeah, we had a great group of guys. It was really fun playing with them. I think about it all the time. I miss it all the time. It was really just a fun experience. It was definitely really fun.
That's awesome to hear, man. And you just talked about Jay Sean being suspended, and I do kind of remember that. I think I was a junior in high school. And was that before your guys' game before Aquinas? Was that like right before?
Yeah, because we played Victor right before Aquinas. Yes, because Jay was playing in Victor. It was literally that Monday, I think. Really just other kids just getting involved and doing stuff. You know, like obviously you guys know you went to high school. Same high school. Like, you understand that there's every school has it, but we had a lot of kids that just they don't care. They don't care about like what they're doing. They don't care about other kids. So I'm not gonna name names, but one of the kids just got in Jay Sean's face and like was just saying stuff, being stupid, and it really ended up costing us. And I to this day I don't think it's Jay Sean's fault. I was there in front of him. To this day, he's still my friend. Like that's my boy. So I don't put that blame on him at all, and I know he shouldn't put that blame on himself. But obviously, I know that he regrets not being able to play, and I know personally, I wish that he would have been able to play because he was really like my number 2 guy. Going through. So no excuses, but it would have definitely helped having him play for us that last game. But I feel more bad for him, just having to miss that game and watch it from the sideline, not even being able to be on the sideline. They didn't even let him like be there for support, and I think that really kind of screwed with us. But overall, it was a good game. We had a good team even without Jay, but obviously like we were missing one of our pieces. So
yeah, and that must attest to your leadership as well. And I understand that being the starting quarterback since your sophomore year and already having that tag, like he has to be the leader, even if you don't want it, you kind of are. How did you kind of like command your team, your troops to, okay, we don't have Jay Sean this game, but how are we going to handle this without him here?
So in high school, I was more of like a action leader. Like I wasn't really vocal.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Mont really tried to like help me out with that, and I definitely became more vocal my senior year.
Yeah.
I think kind of like once I figured out that I kind of was partially like that dude that I had to do that, and I was in the right position to do that. I think I
Mm-hmm.
kind of figured it out a little bit. So definitely senior year I was more vocal than I had ever been, and I think going into that we tried not to talk about it actually specifically about the Jay Sean thing.
Yeah.
Coach Mom pulled me aside and like was just talking like, hey Jay, like obviously everyone knows about this, but we kind of need to
Yeah.
not talk about this and just like pretend like the guys that are filling the spot are just as good, and like the guys that fill the spot were just as good. It was just not. It's just the difference between having a starter and a backup who they may know the same amount and they may both perform as well, but
Yeah.
one of them has been in the game. You have a connection with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's in my grade. He's like one of my boys. Like everyone that was playing that year, we had a lot of seniors. Like we all were boys with Jay Sean. So like it was just like the mental aspect of him not being able to play, even though obviously like his backups were like still great players. Like we really never had a bad position at our age, my time there. So like I trusted the guys that were filling in for him. It was just a different vibe.
Yeah.
And I think we missed him more on defense. TJ and Wendell both did a great job that game, and like they
Yeah.
were younger, and like to put them in that situation was like I felt bad for them, but like they played fine. It's just like the difference between like uh, a veteran player like Jay Sean who's been in that situation before, and
Yeah.
Jay Sean's a big talker. So Jay Sean being able to talk shit to like Jameer and Ernest and like kind of get in their heads
Yeah.
a little bit. Versus like TJ and Wendell, they're both like quieter guys, and like I don't hold it against them at all. I'm just saying like it's just different, and I know they both know that they're both great dudes, like great kids. I love them, but it was just like a little different bit of a vibe. But who knows if that even would have changed the outcome? But it was definitely
Yeah.
just heartbreaking for all of us to see Jay Sean not be able to play in that.
Yeah, definitely. I can only imagine. And kind of knowing that your senior year has come to an end and now you have to pick through some colleges that may have offered you. And I know you went to Dartmouth. And what was your decision-making process in that and picking that college? Like, I want to go play for them.
So I didn't have I didn't have any offers until after the Aquinas game.
Yeah.
The night after the Aquinas game was the first night I got an offer. I went to like a restaurant. I was obviously sad. Like I just played my last high school game,
Yeah.
and Old Dominion called and they offered me a spot. So that was pretty cool. But from there on out, they started rolling a little bit. I think I ended with like 7 or 8, which it was kind of disappointing for me because I knew the potential that I had,
Mhm.
and I knew that I should have had more. And I had a lot of people tell me if I would have played football down in Texas or in Florida, where recruiting is way bigger, I would have had 20 plus offers, which I know I would have. But at the end of the day, I think I made the right decision, especially for the cards I was dealt.
Yeah.
So the process it was a terrible process. I hated the recruiting process. It's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of lies.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's a few schools that give it to you straight, and like you can really tell that. And I think that was my biggest decision with choosing Dartmouth is the coaches just seemed so genuine, and they all knew my name. They all wanted me there. They all were congratulated when I finally got like a good score on my ACT. That's when I was able to get into Dartmouth, and I went to school for like a visit, and every single coach congratulated me. And I think that was kind of the big separator. It's like you have that, and then you go to another school, and like one coach knows your name, and it's because he's your recruiter, and
Yeah.
then other coaches are asking you like, "Oh, where are you from? Like what's like position and all this?" And you're like, "Aren't you recruiting me? Like, shouldn't you?" Oh, I think that was my biggest decision with Dartmouth. And like Old Dominion and like University of Buffalo, they all knew everything about me. I liked their coaches, but it wasn't the right fit. Which is crazy because like I was offered scholarship to those schools and I wasn't offered scholarship to Dartmouth. It's a Ivy League, so they don't offer full athletic
Yeah.
rights. So I was strictly financial aid, which I ended up paying very very little, regardless. But it's different than a athletic scholarship. So the fact that I chose a school that didn't offer that over a school that did kind of I think speaks for itself and how much I value the coaches and how much I value the culture there. So I think that was a huge part of my decision making and as far as recruiting goes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's goes out saying the jump from high school football to college football is astronomical. Like, what was your mindset like day one stepping into camp? It's almost just starting over almost, I got to believe.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think the one big thing was I actually was what I just said about like being like very like known or recruited from Dartmouth staff specifically. They didn't know that I was a dual threat quarterback, which kind of was kind of shocking once camp started. So I wasn't getting any reps. I was getting like 3 reps a day at practice. So halfway through, like, for example, the first day of camp was the worst day. Like I had the most anxiety I've ever had in my entire life. Like you go into it, it's college ball. Everybody's bigger than you. You have no idea what's going on. The conditioning test, they do it the first day at Dartmouth. So you do the conditioning test and you go right into the practice and like you have no rest time. Like they're just like, all right, let's go. So like they do it on purpose because they want to see guys that like they want to see if guys will break and they want to see if guys can like kind of figure shit out. And like for me, it was easy. I had a red jersey on. I just followed the guy with the red jersey on. But like for everyone else, like, you got to find your position coach. You got to find someone who knows what to do. So it's just like basically running around with your head cut off. So the first day was terrible. About 3 weeks into camp, I realized that I wasn't going to get on the field at quarterback. And my mindset going into college was I'm trying to play right away because I knew that I was talented enough to do that. And I wasn't – after the first 2 games, I was like, I'm not sitting on the sideline. Like, I'm not going to do this for the next 2 years. Like, I just can't do that because I knew my own potential. So I ended up switching positions. I talked to my quarterback coach. I was like, Coach, like, I respect you. I appreciate you getting me in here, but I just don't think that first of all, at quarterback, you guys aren't letting me do special teams and stuff. So I'm not being able to play at any position. Like other guys that I was freshman with were able to play on special teams and like do punt, kick return, kick off, all that. And I wanted to, but I wasn't able to because I was a quarterback. So I told my coach at the time, I was like, hey coach, I just don't feel comfortable like playing quarterback here anymore. I think I need to change positions and like really, because I feel like I'm just being wasted and I want to like show my talent and do something. So he was like, all right, that's fine. So I changed to tight end / receiver. And that's kind of when people started to notice my talent. And I was on scout team that year, freshman year, and I ended up winning scout team player of the year because I just had a great year. They started putting me at like quarterback, running back, receiver, everything for scout to show them. So I don't know if you guys know what scout team is. You basically learn the other team's offense, and then in practice, you practice their offense against your actual team's defense. Yeah. So it's like get your team ready. So I was doing that. So I was playing quarterbacks from other schools and running backs from other schools just to like give them looks. And I ended up just having like, it was actually like a breakout year for me, which is funny because it was against my own team. But I think the coaches really started to notice my athletic ability. So that's when sophomore year, we had a new offensive coordinator and he loved it and started implementing me. And then I started playing sophomore year and I had like a really big breakout game. The 3rd game versus Penn at UPenn with like a game-winning touchdown I had. So that kind of broke me out, and then my coach really started liking me and like using me, and he started putting packages in for me, and then it kind of just took off from there.
That's great, man. And you just said the game-winning touchdown. I think I remember seeing like a clip on Twitter. It wasn't just like you got the ball and it was like a draw. You just ran in for the touchdown.
Yeah, it was like a 1-yard run, but it was 4th down, like 1 second left. If we didn't score, it was game over. And right before that, I had like my favorite run of my entire career at Dartmouth was 2 plays before that. It kind of set us up. It was like a 27-yard run, but I like broke 2 tackles and like ran down the middle. And to me, that was the breaking through part for me personally.
Yeah.
When everyone else just sees the touchdown, where I was like, I just had a 30-yard run with a minute left. Where I broke 2 tackles and got us to like the 5-yard line. So like that was for me, that was the biggest thing. And like going back and watching it, like I wasn't even that hype about the touchdown. It's a 1-yard run. And, and then like with my eyes closed, I just put 240 pounds behind the ball and run through a line. So I think that that game in general was definitely like a breakout game for me. But kind of from there, I kind of picked up and I never looked back.
I gotta know, like, what's going through your head in those clutch moments? Like, is it just a blur? Is it like what's going in your head?
That's a good question. Let me think about that first. I don't even
like this is just like this happens. You're not even thinking,
dude. Because that year we had 4 games that we won when we were down in the last minute.
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing at the end of the year versus Princeton, game-winning touchdown. No, you don't think about it honestly. You just think about the same thing. It's just like I'm gonna score this touchdown, and it's like I'm gonna score this touchdown. Like you don't think
Yeah.
it's not you don't think about like what if I don't do it. It's more
Right.
of like when I do this, it's gonna be sick, or like it's gonna be like
Yeah.
and like because like any doubt, and you're just like you fucked yourself if you have any doubt. So yeah, you don't think about you just think about getting in the end zone and like celebrating with your teammates. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel the pressure at all, honestly.
Mhm.
No, yeah, the more no, it's kind of cool. It's like the one football is kind of like the one area in my life where I felt the most comfortable, where I didn't never doubted myself,
Yeah.
never had any bad thoughts. Always just felt like I was having fun. So
That's
um,
good.
yeah, that is good. It's an awesome feeling. So no, I definitely didn't feel anything as much as you would think they would.
Yeah.
If you practice enough at anything, you really you don't feel it when you're in the moment. So
Definitely, yeah. And going to like Dartmouth and knowing it's an Ivy League school, and I know you've probably talked to your other friends have gone to college. Do you see a difference in going to an Ivy League school rather than going to like not an Ivy League school?
academically or football,
Academically, yeah.
100%. I think I think the workload's heavier at Dartmouth. Even though we only take 3 classes a semester, it's a
Yeah.
10-week term. So you got to think about it. You're doing 15 weeks of work in 10 weeks,
Yeah.
and you're also held to, I think, obviously most colleges are held to a high standard, but you're held to the highest standard of all academia. Like
Yeah.
we're an Ivy League school. There's 8 of those. There's 8 Ivy League schools, I think. Yeah, 8.
Yeah, I think
And
so, yeah.
yeah, I don't care about the other ones. And
Yeah.
and you're like at the highest, and you are competing for most kids there. That's like they got into school on their own. Like they're geniuses. Like literally, like
Yeah.
they're the next politicians, the next leaders, the next engineers
Yeah.
of the world. Like so, they're competing to be the best and to get the best jobs after and to make the most money. So make the most change. So they don't care if you're an athlete or not. They're gonna hold you to the same standard. And I think that
Yeah.
was the hardest part of like getting used to. It wasn't the football because football is always the same. It was learning how to actually read and like write an essay. Dude, I'm pretty like I don't know how you guys like were in school, but like I was obviously I had good enough grades to get into Dartmouth with football help, but like I had like an 89 average, like I had a decent SAT, decent ACT, like,
Yeah.
but I never actually read something, analyzed it,
Yeah.
wrote it. I don't remember writing an essay in high school. I don't know if I did. I don't remember. I literally don't remember writing an essay in high school. The more I think about it, so like going to college, like where I actually had to do that stuff, was like such a culture shock to me, and like I just had to like gear down and do it. But like my first semester, bro, like I think I had like a 1.87 GPA. Like it was bad, and I like it kicked my ass, and like it was one class I got like a D in, and the professor like didn't care at all, and like that's kind of what screwed me over.
Yeah.
So like from that point on, I was like, all right, I gotta like either learn how to finesse and like get through this, or like
Yeah.
really just buckle down and like
Yeah.
study every day and like lose the social life. So like there's obviously social life, school life, and like football, and you have to balance all three, because if you don't balance, like one of them will get out of hand. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what was getting out of hand for me, was the school part. And I'm
Yeah.
not even a big partier, but like by social life, I mean sitting at the dining room and talking to my friends for an hour and a half rather
Yeah.
than going to the library and studying for
Right.
hours. So it was just kind of like a balance, and I had to like learn that over time. I mastered it by probably junior year,
Mhm.
to the point where like I was doing minimal work, but like I
Yeah.
was getting A's in class. Like I don't really know how I did it, but I had some help. Shout out my boy Jake Pilata. That's all I'm gonna say. He knows. If he hears this, he knows. But yeah, it was fun. Once I mastered it, and like once I really understood how to, I guess it is finessing. Once I learned how to kind of finesse my way through,
Mhm.
it was pretty easy. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing I've taken away from Dartmouth is like
Yeah.
you take me, and then you take the valedictorian of my class,
Yeah.
and if I was hiring, I would take me over the valedictorian, because I was able to play a sport while doing this. I had time management. I was able to like really just dive into 2 different factors of my life
Yeah.
that are completely different, and like manage both of them and do well in both of them. So like
Mhm.
to me, that's like if I was just a student at Dartmouth, I think I would have had a 4.0, honestly.
Mhm.
I think in college it's easier to control your grades because you have no distractions. You're literally at a school.
Yeah.
Like you're away from everything. Like you can party on the weekend if you want, but you also like know that your rest of your life is on the line based off what you do in college.
Yeah.
So I think I took that into account, and I think I did an exceptional job for the position that I was in. And I know there's kids on my team that did even better, had better GPAs, like good, like great performance in football, like all that. But personally, I was pretty proud of myself. I didn't expect. I never in a million years would thought I would have been in an Ivy League school. I didn't even know Dartmouth was an Ivy League school. That goes to show that I never thought about Ivy League. I was like, what the, like, I offered from Dartmouth, and I didn't know that it was an Ivy League school. I literally was like, Dartmouth? What the hell is Dartmouth? And then my dad and I went home after a camp when I got offered, because I was at like a different camp. We got offered. I came home. We looked it up. My dad was like, Jared, that's an Ivy League school. And I was like, what's I'm thinking like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and Columbia. Those are the only ones I knew. So I'm like, no, it's so once I found that out, I was like, damn, I really got to make the right decision. And I think that was the right decision. Obviously, I have an Ivy League degree now, and I got to play some good football. So I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We had Eric and Shane in the past, and we've talked about student athletes. And it's honestly like 2 full-time jobs. It's insane what you guys have to do to keep up. I was also curious, like, what's your thought on NCAA, like, not giving financial compensation to players? Do you think players deserve to be paid for jerseys? Just like, what's your stance on that?
Players should be paid for their names, and if they are used in like advertising ways. So like, if you go to a big enough school where your jersey's sold, I 100% think you should make the profit off of that.
Yeah.
I think it should be illegal to not make I think it should be illegal for other people to make the profit off that. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I agree with that.
If you guys hold on one second, sorry guys, I'm gonna tell my.
You're fine.
You're good. You're good.
Hey Dad, I'm in an interview right now. I'll call you back. Sorry, that's the only way he'll think I'm doing something. So yeah, I think it honestly should be illegal for another man to make money off something that I have created.
Yeah.
And in the real world, it is, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't get why that has to change for a sport, but it is what it is. I don't think athletes should be paid necessarily just for being on the team.
Yeah.
But I think for performance and how their name is used after those performances. So for example, like myself and like a bunch of my teammates were like on either posters throughout the town or like cup holders, like all these different things. And it's like, we don't see any money from that, but like it helps. Obviously it helps advertise for the team, but it also like helps other people make money. And like for the fact that we didn't see any of that money and like we're struggling to, personally, I was struggling to get through college. Like I'm in a bunch of debt now because my family couldn't pay for it. So it's like, I could have been making money when I was doing well and like, performing. I feel like that should be a thing. Like a lot of kids that go to these schools obviously get full rides, but there's also schools that don't get full rides where kids in the same position, they just didn't get maybe enough exposure or they're just simply not good enough to go to those bigger schools. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I definitely think kids should be paid, but in a certain manner. I don't think being on the team necessarily means like 100%. You're on a Division I team. You should get paid. Like no, I don't see that like that. But that obviously it comes down to fairness and is that fair? Some kids are getting paid and some aren't. But that's a tough question. I think California released something that said they might start paying.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I
don't know how that'll go, but I definitely am jealous of if that goes through. Now get paid, but that's a tough decision to make, I think. So.
Yeah, just seeing like all these college kids and college athletes, like everyone knows like college students are not making any money, like anybody, and putting them into this environment where you have to work hard for this team, you have to kind of win for our team in our college, and at the end of the day, like we just made this like X amount of money, but you're not going to get any of it. Like it's our organization's money. So I do kind of think where athletes do get kind of sidelined on that manner because they are putting in the hard work. Like you see, like from the sidelines, you don't really see what's going on. You just see the game and you just go on with your life. But like you explained, and we talked to Shane and Eric as well. Like it's tough. Like waking up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. I gotta go lift. I gotta go work out, then practice, and then I can make some runs. Then I gotta go to class again, and then at night maybe we have another lift. Like hearing that kind of stuff, it's like you guys don't have zero time, and at the end of the day, if you guys don't perform, the college just doesn't even look at you. It's like, you just didn't do your job well enough. It's like, I
Sure.
put in 12 hours. What are you talking about? I put in a lot of time. So like, I hear
Right.
you. And I do, like, even though I'm not an athlete, just looking and hearing stories from athletes, I feel like you guys do put in amount of work where it should be compensated for.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a good point. I think you're maybe alone in that thought, and I appreciate you saying that, but there's not many, I think, kids
Yeah.
that go to school that don't play sports that actually feel that way. I think,
Mhm.
especially at an Ivy League school, a lot of time we got a lot of backlash for being athletes and like being treated differently, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys get gear and you guys get special treatment and like get to like leave classes like for games and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, but like you don't understand that we're bringing in money for the school. Like,
Yeah.
you guys go to our games and enjoy watching it. Like,
Mhm.
there was one kid that released an article at Dartmouth, and it was about basically how Ivy League shouldn't even have sports, and how it's unfair that like thousands of kids get into the school where thousands of other kids that work their whole life just to go to an Ivy League camp because of athletes.
Yeah.
And my head coach was pissed off about it. He went to Dartmouth, so he understands
Yeah.
how hard it is, regardless of if you're an athlete or not,
Yeah.
and how deserving that all of us are, regardless. So I think that's a very unique view you have, but I actually agree with you.
Mhm.
I definitely do think some compensation would be nice, or even their ability to offer athletic scholarships from
Mhm.
Ivy League school. I think every single Division I school should offer athletic scholarships, no matter what. I think the
Yeah.
problem it comes down to is just like how much money the schools have.
Mhm.
But like you gotta think like 70. If you do maybe like the big sports for athletic scholarships, like which even big universities do. Like Ohio State doesn't offer full rides for lacrosse. They don't. They might for lacrosse. No, they don't, because I know a few kids that went there. It's like literally football, basketball, soccer. I think soccer. So like these schools aren't even offering full scholarships for most teams. So like I think most football teams or most schools that have football teams and basketball teams should be on full ride,
Yeah.
because those are the sports that are bringing in the most revenue
Mhm.
and like creating the most change at those schools. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's going to happen where all schools will ever be on that wavelength, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a good thought. But
And the reason for like kind of my thought, and I went to RIT, which is I think Division 1 for hockey, and I had one of those hockey athletes in my class, and one of my professors did hold them accountable if they did not meet the expectations, and that's what I kind of liked, and I saw that they're not just getting like a slight. I can't speak for everybody, every professor. That specific professor in my class held him accountable. Even the hockey student, I won't say his name, but he understood. Like, I
yeah,
have a job to do here. It's not like I'm just here to play hockey. I have a class too. And seeing that he's being held accountable, he's not getting any pushback dates, and you have to do this, but he's coming out at the end and he's doing really well. And I saw that. I'm like, he took it right under the chin. He's not like asking for extensions. He's not asking for, let me give me another week or something. And he's like, he's meeting those expectations. And I'm not taking away from any of those academically people that are getting academic scholarships and things, because they work hard too. And getting that 4.0 in a school is tough. And going through, I have to do well in this class or they're going to take away my academic scholarship. That's like a different amount of pressure, I would think, as well.
right. I agree with that. I don't know how. I haven't talked to Eric in a bit, but I don't know how the UB is with like academics and stuff. But I know that like bigger schools like Ohio State's, Clemson's, and all that, like they get tutors specific for the
Yeah.
players. And I know for a fact that like I shouldn't say I know for a fact. I have a strong feeling that a lot of those guys necessarily don't do the work. Maybe like not even for themselves, but like just they don't do the work as much as they should. And then
Yeah.
like they obviously have football to back up. But I think a lot of people realize it too late, where it's like football is not going to last forever, regardless of if you make an NFL team or not. Like it's not going to last forever. So I think it's such a tough
Yeah,
topic.
it is tough. Yeah.
Um, I definitely think coming from an Ivy League school, I had to learn to do both, like
Yeah.
100%, and be accountable 100%. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I wish that everyone could experience going to an Ivy League school and having to do both, because I think it would make everybody better off.
Yeah.
Like, I always complain to my parents, like I didn't learn much like in classes and stuff like that. But like the more I look at it, like I learned so much just from being in that situation.
Yeah.
I learned more about life in college than I did learn about like any specific topic. So like
Yeah.
that's my biggest takeaway from going to Dartmouth and like playing sports there, is just like how I deal with day-to-day life and like how I get through, how to get through when you don't have everything, you don't have enough of something. Like
Yeah.
that was just a great experience, and I think um, just learning that was kind of the biggest thing I definitely took away from there. So
You're kind of seeing too, like they're kind of preparing you for life because life is definitely going to be unfair coming up in the year. Like it's no one's going to hold your hand and be like, oh, it's okay and stuff like that. So seeing professors like holding you like you got to do this and that, like dude, there's like even in life, like if a boss says that you got to do this, you can't be like, oh no, I got something else going on. Like they're gonna be like, dude, you got to do it. So
yeah,
seeing that held being accountable, that's I think the biggest thing, and I really see that like in my class, like I said, that hockey player and we did get to talking. He was a pretty cool dude. You know, he said like it is tough out here. You know, D1 playing hockey, but I do at the end of the day I gotta do my schoolwork. No one else is gonna do it for me. So I
right,
was like, I
right.
really saw that, and I was like, this is like this kid's working pretty hard for this. So that was pretty cool to
And
see.
I respect that, and I also think that like that's definitely the culture of a specific school. So like
Yeah,
an RIT, a U of R, even schools that aren't D one. So like Nazareth is a good school. Like all these D3 schools, or D2 schools, D1 schools that are like academic, like have like really hard academic rigor. Like you have to be on top of your shit for both
yeah,
aspects. Like obviously Division 3 ball is not as good as Division 1 ball, but it's still you're still performing to play. And like
yeah,
those, yeah, I respect the shit out of D3 players because like they're not getting as much glory, they're not getting as much shine for what they're doing,
yeah.
but they're just in love with the game and they play for that. And I love that. I respect the shit out of that.
Mhm.
That's like such a cool concept to me that like you can put this much time into something that's like not being rewarded for it, but you're still doing it and giving it your all. I love that.
Yeah,
So I definitely think it's kind of school specific. So like guys that go to RIT or Dartmouth are gonna definitely be on top of their schoolwork more than maybe a guy at Clemson or like a LSU. But like
yeah,
obviously I'm speaking like very broadly. Obviously there's gonna be kids at every school that have good morals and like academic
yeah,
rigor, like do all the everything right. But obviously, like there's more room for guys that don't at those schools than there is for guys at Dartmouth and RIT and like these
mhm,
smart schools. Like, so I definitely think I think it's a specific cultural thing, like
mhm,
which schools have hold which cultures and all that. But
yeah,
overall, if you're playing a Division 1 sport, you gotta kind of try to at least be on top of your stuff for
yeah,
majority of life. And when you're not, that's the thing is when you're not at bigger schools, it's known and it can be known by everybody. Like if you
yeah,
go to an LSU and you have a problem off the field, it's on ESPN. Like
yeah,
people know about it. So like there's a lot of, and I didn't have that much pressure for that. Um, Obviously because first of all I didn't do anything like bad.
mhm,
But like there's a lot of pressure for the kids that are at bigger Division 1 schools because their whole being at that school is an athlete. Like no one thinks of them as a student. For
yeah,
like for me, like half the people at school thought of me as an athlete, half of them thought of me as a student. So like it's definitely like a different balance, I think, for guys that are on full scholarship and like you can lose scholarship if you don't perform. So I think
yeah.
that's like a huge that's tough for them as well. So I definitely think regardless of where you are, college is tough, and if you don't put your all into it, you'll learn soon that it's going to kick you back. And I think that's kind of a good lesson for life as well.
Yeah, man. And kind of just transitioning from that to hard work and sacrifice. I was talking to Mitt before, like not being an athlete in school, like we still like bust our behind to get the grades that we're getting and everything else. And it does get tough along the road for us as well, like non-athletes, because when you get to class and knowing that this is it, man, like I got to work hard at these things, learn as much as I can, and try to move on to the next phase of my life. And I know it would be kind of easier, like not having to worry about where I don't have practice like in like 2 hours. I can just go home and work on my things. But when I do look at my kind of my schedule and things, like for me it looks rough. But so if someone else looked at it and be like, oh, that's not too rough. I'm doing this. But I think it just differs for every person and how they can handle like if they get used to that. So admit like remember like knowing that your schedule isn't too like hefty, but like it still is. Like you said you work at your dad's gas station, things of that,
Yeah,
and you're going to school. How do you handle that?
I think it's getting my priorities straight.
Yeah,
Like I know I have to work at the gas station, so I set time for that.
yeah,
I know what I need to do. I need to keep working out just for like mental health and physical health. So I'll make sure I do that. But I look at what I can cut out a bit. I can't go out as much. That's fine. Maybe I sleep like 4 hours this day. It happens. You gotta just know when to take the L and like where. It's part of life. You're not gonna win 24/7. You gotta know when you have to lose, and that's also part of winning, honestly.
I can attest to that. Like, I feel when I fail at something, I learn way more than when I succeed. I
100%.
obviously not like Jared's is kind of different. I would say like obviously you have games and like everything, but like for me, like when a class isn't going so well or something, I don't like pout and I'm like, oh, this isn't like this sucks and stuff. Not like I used to, but my mindset has changed of I didn't do well at this. Let me focus on this a little more, see what I did wrong, and let's never let this happen ever again. So I think that mindset and like let's translate that to your aspect, Jared, like football. When things aren't going your way, has there been a shift from a younger, like a high school you to a college you, where you look at things like, I didn't do so well at this, but it's all right. I know how to fix this, and we're gonna get better. Rather than I didn't do this so well, and I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I think even at times there's times where like you have to realize where certain part of your game or certain part of any in life too, you have to realize that like there may be something that you physically are not going to be able to get better at, and that's just the
Yeah.
way the like some people like. If I said today I want to be a professional tennis player, I could put hours and hours of work into it, but realistically, like, am I going to get to that level? Like, probably not in this
Yeah.
life. So it's like same thing for like more specific like football. Like there was stuff that I like would work on, and I just like it didn't feel right, and I just knew that like I wasn't getting better at it. So like certain things I would try, like yes, I'm gonna get better at it. I'm gonna get better. So for example, like my running technique transitioned from like sophomore year in high school to like now. I went to Justin Rambo and trained with him, and like that's what I knew I needed to get better at, and he got my knee drive higher, which made me faster, which brought my arms back more. So like
Yeah.
that was something that I thought I could get better at, and I did. But then there's other stuff reading defenses was really hard for me. Like that's a completely it's like a literal class, like having to learn how to read defenses. And I to this day I haven't mastered it, and it's one of those things that like I would love to get better at. And like if I end up making a team maybe next year or whatnot, like I'm gonna have to get better at it. But that's one of those things where like you can feel you perform differently when you don't know the plays, or when when you don't know the defenses. Like when you look out there and you don't know what's going on, it's like shit, like I need to get better at this. So that was one thing that I worked on from my sophomore year to my senior year of college. And I learned I started to learn more. My coach did a great job at that. He's a film guru, so he really helped me develop that, and that was something that I needed to work on and that I got better at. And I remember my like sophomore year, I had one bad game, and like I was doing the wrong thing at the wrong time because I didn't know what the defense was doing.
Yeah.
So that's like, for example, that's one thing that showed me I was doing something wrong. I had to make changes. But then there's also stuff like pocket presence, or like staying in the pocket. I didn't think that fit my game, and I didn't think that was going to benefit me. So I scrambled more. And that's one of those things where like you realize that like you could get better at something, but it may not actually benefit you. So that's where I cut it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in the pocket for 2 to 3 seconds. And like, I'm going to scramble after that because I'm a threat when I run. So that's, for example, that's just like one of those things where like, if you know you're not going to do better at something, and like you can put all your effort into it, but like, is it actually going to benefit you? And I think that's something you can carry into life. And that's definitely what I took it with life, is like, I'm not going to get better at doing this. I might as well do something that I'm good at, that I know I'm good at, and get better at that. So when I was at the Manning Passing Academy in Louisiana, Peyton Manning said he's more scared of a guy that practices one thing like 1,000 times than he is scared of someone doing 1,000 things one time. And I think that's kind of the same thing. It's like, if you're going to get better at something, you got to really do it and do it right and do it a lot. And if you're not going to put that effort into it, then you're not going to get better at it. So
Definitely, I think that's the right mindset, and kind of making this is gonna be a weird transition because I wanna yank a myth's chain again, and looking at like NBA athletes working out, and I know you're a football guy, but like obviously looking at NBA athletes, I've asked like every guest this. What are your thoughts on James Harden? Like that's a Myth's favorite player, but I don't know, man.
dude, that's funny. No, I'm all for it. I'm a big sports guy. I love basketball is like so surprise. My favorite sport. Can you guys guess what my favorite sport is? Take a random guess. you probably would not guess it. My favorite sport. It's not like a weird sport. It's just like you wouldn't think that it would be my favorite sport.
No, is it
I'm
golf
gonna
or
say
something?
baseball.
Okay. I love golf. Dude, I recently have been golfing like crazy. I fucking love it. It's not golf. It's not baseball. I actually used to play baseball. I loved it. It's soccer.
Wow.
My my brother played soccer. He got invited to like play over in Italy. Like, so I'm Italian,
really?
obviously. And when I was young, Italy won the World Cup.
Yeah.
And my brother was already a huge soccer fan. And from that day on, I was like, bro, I love soccer. Like I played soccer growing up. I loved it. Like honestly, like if soccer and football weren't in the same season, I would have played in high school.
Mhm.
So yeah, soccer's like my favorite sport, but I also love basketball. James Harden is honestly like one of my favorite players too.
Yep.
Wow.
I'd
All
say-
right.
I'd say it goes like LeBron. I think he might be my second favorite. Honestly, like
Wow.
I like
That's a
Wow.
high rank right there.
I like Dame Lillard too.
Okay, yeah.
I also like John Wall,
All right.
but I respect James Harden. I obviously like we all wish we would play more defense, but I think honestly that's a good example of like someone doing something that they know they're best at.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
James Harden knows his role
Nice
like,
ball roll,
and
dude.
fucking perfects it. Like
Yeah.
he took my mindset. He's like, you know what? I could be good at fucking defense, but like I could be great at offense. He's about to go down as probably top 4 most efficient. Not even top, bro. Like I put him up
Top
there with
1.
LeBron.
How? Get out of here, dude.
No. Not an overall best player. I'm talking about scoring efficiency.
Or,
Like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
he's a more efficient scorer than LeBron and Michael Jordan. He just is.
Easy.
Yeah.
Like him and Kevin Durant. That's why I put the top 2 like most efficient scorers of
Yeah.
all time. So like, why would he practice defense? He's not gonna be Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get better at defense now. He's fucking 33. Like
Yeah.
he has 5 years left. Yeah, mom. I'm not just talking to the computer screen. They said I could switch. So yeah, like he took what he knew what he was best at and he's perfected it, and that's why he's so good now. And that's a funny question. I really do like I like James Harden. I think they should have beat the Warriors a few years ago and actually won the championship. I don't know.
I did too. Yeah.
Like they should have easily won that game 7. But yeah, I like James Harden. He's great.
That's good. Every video I ask people, everyone thinks I hate James. I don't hate him. It's just that sometimes when you look at him, it's like you're gonna dribble the clock out and pass it to like Clint Capella, and he's not gonna be able to do anything with the ball.
Right.
I kind of felt that way with Cam Newton when I watched Cam Newton play. After I watched the one Super Bowl where they played I think it was the Broncos, where they got smoked. I think
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Broncos.
It was the Broncos.
He was rolling on the ground like a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like it was just like something I didn't want to watch. So I feel like I can feel that with James. Like it's definitely like you hear commentators and you hear people. All right, Mom. You hear people. Sorry, she just wrote a message to me. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, no. But like same thing I had with Cam Newton is like I get annoyed watching him sometimes. But like you can hear the commentators talk about James Harden like, oh, he's like ruining the game. He goes to the free throw line, like, but like it's part of the game. Like getting fouled on a free, like if you're gonna put up 20 points on a free throw line, why would you not do that?
Yeah,
True.
That's true.
So I respect him. I definitely think he could play more defense, but like I said, it is what it is. Like a lot of players don't play as much defense as he do, and then like they don't score as much either. So it's like you gotta pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah. And kind of going back, you saying soccer is your favorite sport, and that really surprised me because I would say soccer is probably my third, if not second, because basketball is obviously my number one. I love basketball. And football, like I'll watch the big games. I'm not like watching every game. Like I know what's going on in the league. It's just like I don't know if I'm watching every game. But soccer, I'm a huge fan also. And if I could pick your brain about like if one club that you support in soccer, which one would that be?
I'm a Tottenham fan.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they still have Harry
It's
Kane?
funny, I have a Bayern hat on right now. I don't know why. Just a cool hat. But no, I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan.
Do they still have Harry Kane?
Say it again?
Do they still have Harry Kane?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah, that's like
Okay.
that's our centerpiece.
Yeah.
He's our glue. But yeah, no. The last year we went to the Champions League and we played the final and played Liverpool. That was like, I went to a bar in the Rochester and like there's a there's a Liverpool bar and there's a Tottenham bar actually specific. My brother and I went to the Tottenham bar, and there was like 100 Tottenham fans, like people from like literally from England that were like knew every chant, and like it felt like it was really cool. But yeah, I'm a big Tottenham fan. My favorite player is Wingman Son.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I love him. He's like Ronaldo, but just from Korea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a huge soccer fan. I really wish I could have played it. Honestly, like, if I would have stuck with it and like played defense or like goalie, I think I would have had like a pretty decent career with that. But that's actually I kind of want to work in soccer for the rest of my life actually. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
one of my coaches from Dartmouth actually knows the owner of AC Roma.
Wow.
So, he's trying to hook me up. His last name is Pilata. Actually, my best friend from school, his last name is Pilata. So he's from, I think the guy's from Ohio or Pennsylvania or something, but he lives in Italy now.
Yeah.
And owns AC Roma. So that's kind of been my dream of mine, is just to work in soccer. And I guess the main reason I love it so much is the culture and like how diverse soccer is, and like it's just a universal sport. It's like you see kids playing with fucking straw balls and like like in the desert. Like it's just, there's no boundaries for it, and like so many kids have made lives for themselves from it. And I know that happens with all sports, but like soccer is so universal, and I also respect it because it's like a gentleman's game. I love, like, I think the atmosphere of like a football stadium is just like amazing. By football I mean soccer. It's just amazing. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the Dortmund stadiums. Like, fans, they have the one wall of yellow. They have like, that is just so cool to me. And like, you get that with other sports, but I just think it's so rich in soccer. And like, even at like lower club levels, there's fans and like people go out and to watch. Like, it's just so loved by everybody, especially in other countries, that I just like, I think I was just drawn to that. And it just, to me, it's just like a beautiful sport. So yeah, it is kind of weird that I don't even watch football. I don't watch football. I love playing it. I can't watch it.
No, if you don't mind speaking about it, what type of work would you be doing for AC Roma? Like one of the trainers coaching, or?
I don't know. That's the thing, is I don't know. Like, I would love athletic training, but I obviously don't have a degree in that, so I would have to do that. To be honest, bro, I'm just trying to get in the system. I don't care if I can get an invite to the game and not have to pay for it. And to be honest, that's a dream to me. Just being able to like
doing that, right? Yeah.
Like, get a ring for being on the organization. Like, to me, that's so cool. And like, obviously I would love to be a part of a women's program, but I just want to be a part of a soccer club and be able to experience that and like be around the culture, because I just love like the culture that soccer brings with it, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I could say the same thing. Like, I don't watch too much soccer, but when I'll catch a game here and there, like if big clubs are playing. And I would personally say, like, my favorite player is Kevin De Bruyne. Just watching him is insane.
He's the most informed player like right now in the world.
Yeah.
Like, he is completely just destroying it, dude. He's so raw.
He's really good.
So good.
Soccer's just, I think it's just like you're right, different atmosphere. Soccer's just like, when you just watch it, you just feel different. I don't know if it says, it's weird to say, but it is. Yeah.
I know exactly how you're feeling.
Jared, we want to thank you for coming on and talking about your whole football experience from high school to Dartmouth and NCAA and everything, and to telling us your thoughts on like soccer and things of that nature. We just really appreciate you giving us your time, and we just want to thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, for sure, bro. It was real fun. I'm down for, if you guys ever need anything in the future, like, let me know. I'm always down. But yeah, it was a fun time. I'm gonna go watch it probably. I watched Shane's already. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really cool. You guys talked about the mental health and stuff. I think that's a huge topic. And just in life, obviously, like I think that's one thing that's overlooked sometimes in athletes. And I appreciate that you guys like talked about that and looked into that a little bit. So you guys are doing a great job, great thing here. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. All right,
Thank
man.
you,
Take
man.
care now.
Catch up.